Hi guys. So, in the last couple of months, I felt like things have been getting a bit hard to manage with finances, and like I was ending the month with less money than I was expecting to have, and I wasn't sure where it was going, and I was really frustrated. And I decided that it would be a good idea to start using a finance planner. I've never done this before. It was a complete experiment, but it was based on the fact that I'd had such a success with a meal planner, which I've talked about. That's my Discagenda turquoise, which I've been using for the last while now as a meal planner. It's just been so successful and really, really made a positive difference, because before I kind of felt like I was floundering and missing meals and never knew what to make. And just having a meal planner and having everything set out made such a huge difference that I felt like it might be a good idea to kind of apply the same methodology to finances. So I first started using a traveler's notebook to track my finances, and that didn't work out for reasons which I've discussed in my video on the pros and cons of traveler's notebook. So if you're curious to hear why I wasn't really happy with that, all of the details are in that video, but basically it was just to do with the different booklets and the way I'd set it up, and it was confusing and the information was kind of dispersed. So I liked the idea of having a finance planner, but I just didn't like having it in that. And I found that having different types of financial information in different planners, so for a while I was keeping some in my personal planner and some in my Discagenda Diva, which also just was confusing. I wanted to have it all in one place. And around that time, my long awaited for Discagenda Manta arrived. And I realized that that would be perfect for using as a finance planner. I hadn't ordered it with that in mind, but when it came, I thought that would be perfect for reasons which I will explain in a minute when we get into it. And then, just as I had arrived at this brilliant realization on the day that it came, James stole it from me because he too fell in love with it and realized that it was his unicorn planner. And I didn't have the heart to take it away from him because he'd been in a planner rut and wasn't using a planner and was just really disorganized. And so I wanted to encourage anything that would, make him get back on the planner wagon. And in fact, he is absolutely in love with it, and he's been using it devotedly ever since. And I'll do a setup video of his manta and how he's using it, because I think that that would be fun to share with you. So I ended up ordering another one because by that time I'd had my heart set on it, and I justified it by the fact that I'd got the first one for free from Doki Books, and so I'd originally been intending to buy one, so I thought I could kind of allow myself to buy another one. And I'm really happy that I did, because I think it's just perfect as a finance planner. It would be good for a lot of other things too, but I'll show you why I think it works really well as a finance planner. So the setup is quite basic in that it's minimalist. The main thing that I've done, which I'm excited about, is it comes with black discs, and you can order gold discs or rose gold discs separately on the site, which I think is really cool. They have the standard size, and then you can also get expander discs, which I haven't done yet, but I might at some point. So I bought gold expander discs, and they're metal. The black ones and the gold ones are both aluminium, which is awesome because they'll last forever. And I just have kind of done every other one gold, and I really like that. So that was my little touch of adventure. And then I've put these two kind of motivational things on here. This one, Diolch yn fawr iawn, it says thank you very much in Welsh, and I've been spending some time in Wales recently and learning Welsh, so I thought that would be nice as kind of the theme of gratitude for financial abundance. Basically, my idea with this is I was really freaking out about running out of money, not having enough money, not being able to save anything. And so when I first started using the traveler's notebook as a finance planner, I just panicked because I wrote down all of our monthly expenses and then how much I was making and how much we were spending. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm always going to be getting further and further into debt, and this is awful, and there's no way out of it. And I just had a gigantic panic attack. And then I thought, this is not the way to deal with this sort of issue. The way to deal with it is kind of to think abundance. And I know that this works because I've done it before in other areas, and it does really work. So I was just okay, don't panic, resist the urge to panic. Just think about all of the blessings and all of the good things. And so that's kind of part of it. So I put that there. And then this is something that I did actually about a year ago. It was from one of the books by the author of The Secret. She had a 30 days of gratitude book where every day it tells you kind of gives you a tip for like something to focus on to be grateful for, and one of them is finance. And so it says take a note. It says take a dollar bill, but in the UK the smallest paper currency is £5, which is worth a lot more. But anyway, so, and then write on it, thank you for all the money I've been given throughout my life, and just like focus on that. So I had this in my work planner for a long time. I've had this for about a year. Then I transferred it into my personal planner, and then I decided it would be the perfect place to put it on here. So this is just like immediately kind of like a positive dashboard that, kind of reminds me to focus on the positive about money, because I think it can be really easy to just like go into a negative spiral and like just freak out. For me anyway. So the goal of this, I decided after I had the really negative experience panicking about tracking all of my finances and just seeming like it was going down and down and down a few weeks ago, I started doing that. I thought I'll turn this around and I'll make it into a financial abundance planner, and I'll just associate this with good things and like all of the money that's coming in. And as soon as I started doing that, it started to work. I know it sounds cheesy, but I actually started to, I got a huge refund on my electricity bill, and I got a pay rise at work, which I wasn't expecting. And so I really recommend it. It somehow seems to be working. So that's the story with the dashboard. And then I've just put another one of these in here. And I haven't filled this in because I never fill this in. So then what I'm doing, the first thing that I'm doing is I'm using this monthly dashboard, which I love. This comes in, you get this in the Manta, and you also get one in the Discagenda Diva or the Discagenda Turquoise. It's kind of like the monthly dashboard on the Happy Planner, and also a little bit like the Inkwell Press monthly mission statement. And because this isn't my main planner, some of the things don't apply, like birthdays. And so I'm using it just specifically for like happy financial stuff to make this into like a kind of positive motivational monthly dashboard. So under birthdays, I've listed, this is the only practical thing. I've put in my weekly expenses. So I worked out a budget, and I'll show you later how much I should spend on, or like James and I should spend on food, and then other, and then the total, because I keep a like sort of running weekly account of like the total expenses for that week. So this is just to keep in mind how much I should be spending, and I've covered up quite a lot of the stuff in here because not that I don't really care, but it just seemed like it was a good idea. So that's what I'm putting under birthdays. And then under remember, I've written we have abundance. So that's like the thing to focus on. And then if I get stressed about any other kind of expenses, I'll put happy things here as well. So goals, be happy about our finances, deposit £300 into my savings account, and I've automated that to happen like after my payday, so that's done. And then deposit any extra to savings, or possibly buy gold, because gold seems to be like a good investment. So just like a little bit. This is something I've done before. So, and also like if you buy gold, then you can't spend it very easily. So thinking that's a good, like rather than putting it in my savings account, because my savings account earns basically no interest. So it's just like a way to keep it separate, but it doesn't actually make any money. And so occasions I've put like when my payday is, because my payday is the last day of the month, and I always get confused about that. So I thought if I put it in here, then I will remember. And then another occasion is that I was due this £300 electricity refund, and it came into my account today. So I was really happy, and it was actually more than £300. It was like 380. So yay. So that's how I'm using the monthly dashboard. I think it's quite useful having these. Even if you're not using one of these as your main planner, you can still find stuff to do with it. So I'm using the monthly spread to keep track of what's in my bank account. So another tip that I heard on YouTube, I started listening to a lot of YouTube videos about like financial abundance, and like from finance mavens, like kind of financial advisors. Like there are a couple of them. One is Kate Northrup. If you Google her search for her on YouTube, she had like quite a few actually, like really good sort of inspirational, practical videos on how to like kind of get control of finances. And so one tip is to check your bank balance every day, which I don't know, probably a lot of people do that anyway, but I didn't ever do that. So just like check your bank balance every day, but make it into a happy, positive ritual. And then like she said, when she started doing that things improved. And that has been the case with me as well. So I write down my bank balance in my current account, my checking account, every day. And then I write down the amount in my savings account, like just periodically if it changes. So I just wrote it down at the beginning of the month and nothing has changed since then. And then I write down if I take out some cash. So that's like kind of like it's money out. So it goes out of my it goes out of my current account. So it will look like my balance is less, but actually that's money that I have to spend, if you see what I mean. So it's not like that money is gone. So just so that I can keep note of that so I don't get depressed when I check it the next day and the balance has gone down. So that's how I'm using the monthly spread. And that's really simple because there's like one number at the bottom. I just write my current account balance at the bottom. And if I have any notes like that I've taken cash out, that's all I'm using it for. So it's nice and clean, easy to see. Then the weekly spread. So this is the really cool thing about the Manta and why I thought that it would be perfect as a finance binder is that each day, so it's a vertical weekly spread, and each day is divided into 3 sections and they're not labeled. So it's like the new Erin Condren and the new Happy Planners, completely blank, so you can decide what you want to do with it. And I thought that was perfect because I wanted to divide this into, basically there are like 3 sort of different areas that I wanted to divide my expenses into. And you can see on the side, because it doesn't have headers, so I've written it on the side, food, necessities, and fun. So I thought those are really the basic divisions because I've worked out like roughly how much I think that we should have allocated for like food every week. And so I know how much that should be. And I put the totals here on the note side. And this is perfect because the notes are on the right hand side. So you can like kind of write in your totals for the day and then put the total for the week here. So I've left some of the numbers in because otherwise like there's nothing for you to see and it's kind of very abstract, but I blocked off some of them. So this is just like everything, all food expenses. And then this is necessities. So things that are boring, but like we had 2 vet bills and then we have pet insurance, but they only pay if it's over the excess. So if it's something small, like just like a visit for a checkup, then obviously we have to pay for that. So things like a phone. I bought a phone because a landline because our landline stopped working. So this was not something I wanted to buy for fun. It was, so I classed that under necessities. And if I've paid for it with a credit card, which is usually stuff I get from Amazon, then I put a star next to it so that I can keep track of, just so that I know. And then fun is things like going to the cinema, coconut milk lattes. We got some photos developed because we wanted to make a like kind of memorial book for Panda. We saw Monsters Inc. So that was like rented, digital, stuff like that. And then I put the total for each of these categories at the bottom and then the complete total there. So I just have a really good idea every week of how much has been spent and whether that's keeping in line with what I've worked out. So it's the same thing here. It's just food, necessities, and other like fun things. So this was when I bought the Manta. So I retroactively put this stuff in. This had been in the traveler's notebook and spread over other planners, and I put it all in here because the planner started at the end of April, so this was perfect. So I've actually sort of got it's complete. And then this is the current week. And yeah, that's how I'm doing it. And then at the end of the week, I'll just put in the totals there. And this just makes me feel really confident. Like it really makes me feel like I know what I'm doing and I know how much I can spend, and it just feels really positive and happy, and I'm enjoying it, which is something I never thought I would do. I just am not interested in like money or finances at all, and I never like kind of gravitated towards having a finance binder. I think probably a lot of people are the same, but it's just been really nice. It's like made it feel very positive, and instead of like feeling kind of like panicky and confused, I'm feeling very happy. So that's that. And so this has just got everything up until it's for a year. So it's really a perfect setup. And that was why I thought that this would be ideal, because unlike the traveler's notebook where I had different expenses split throughout different notebooks and it was confusing me because I couldn't see them all together, here I just have these 2 sections. I've got the monthly for my bank accounts, and then I've got the weekly for the expenses, and it's because it's divided into these 3 sections, it just works perfectly. And then in the back there are notes pages and list pages. So I like the list pages because they've got these little diamonds here, and so I've used these to write out. So I went through my bank account and found all of the monthly expenses. So these go out automatically. I don't pay anything manually. this is just so that I know how much is going out. So there are things like council tax, my mobile phone, pet insurance, BT, which is our like internet and landline, my travel card, others like just other stuff like that. And so I've added up all of the monthly expenses and then put the total at the bottom, so I know that like I have to keep that much money aside per month. And then I've done the same thing for yearly expenses. There are not that many, but there are some things that go out once a year or twice a year, like our water bill. And so I've just kept those so that I could then do this, add them together. Oh wait, sorry, that sticky note has come off. So I added together the monthly and yearly expenses, and those are the fixed expenses. And then on top of that, I've made an allowance for Tails and Mochi, either for vet expenses or for food, because I didn't budget that in anywhere else. And I'm thinking like they won't always have vet expenses, so I've kind of made it enough so that it should cover vet and food like most of the time. And then food for us, and then the total, and then my wages, and then how much of that is free money, and then how much I want to save, and then how much is left over after that. And then that's what I use here to work out how much money I have to spend per week is this figure. So like it's nice and simple. It's only 3 sheets. I can see everything. If something changes, I'll just like make a new list, and that's it. So it's really simple, but I feel like it kind of gives me a nice overview of everything that's going on, and it doesn't take too long to complete. So if I'm out and I spend some money, as opposed to spending money online at home, which I do a lot as well, then I just keep the receipt if I get a receipt, or if I don't get a receipt, then I write it down in my personal planner or on a sticky note, and then when I come home I fill it in. So it doesn't really take that long to fill this in. Like this doesn't take that much time, but it just makes me feel much more like confident and in control, and like I know what's going on. And it's not like I'd ever really got into like serious problems before not doing this, but I just felt like because I was feeling particularly kind of stressed recently, I think a lot of it was because we had a lot of unexpected vet bills when Panda was sick, and that kind of like that and some other unexpected expenses just sort of like push things over the edge. And then I realized that I hadn't kind of had a like proper budget in a while, and that I was just really confused. So it's just been a big help, and I think that hopefully it should become automated, and I would like to keep up with it, because I think that like having something like this just is a really good way of feeling positive about like money and finances, and since I've been doing this and feeling positive about it, like things have really improved. So I don't know whether that's coincidence or not, but I just think I'm going to keep going like this. And also, I love planners, you know that. So having another planner is just great and makes me feel very happy all on its own. And I think that this is something that's, it's very practical in that like I'm not likely to feel overwhelmed by it, because it doesn't take a huge amount of time, but I think the benefits are significant. So I hope that you enjoyed this. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye.